Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are located. Thank you all so much for joining Amtrak Vacations as today we talk about overnight rail journeys. First and foremost, just want to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Jim Marini and proudly your presenter here today. Today's presentation is scheduled to be about 45 minutes up to 1 hour because we will be saving time at the end of today's presentation to answer any questions that you may have. And folks, to find your question box, it is located on the right-hand side of your screen. So certainly feel free to type any questions away as I go through today's presentation. And again, we will save time at the end to answer as many as I can possibly get to. As I already mentioned to our first group this morning during our first session, one of 3 sessions today, we have over 2,000 people that have registered for today's presentation, which is absolutely fantastic. So I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to join us. And again, I will try to get to as many questions as I can. I did want to mention also on the right-hand side of your screen, we have 2 helpful handouts that you are more than welcome to download. So please make sure to take a little time to do that before the end of today's presentation. With that in mind, everyone, I want to thank you all again, and let's move right in. So Amtrak Vacations, we are part of the Yankee Leisure Group family of brands. So if you look at the brochure all the way to the left-hand side, that is Amtrak Vacations. So we are the official tour operator in the United States for Amtrak. So what does that mean? We not only take care of the rail and any of the trains throughout the US, but we handle hotels, sightseeing tours, meals, activities. We have packages all put together, anywhere from literally 3, 4, 5 day weekend or week-long getaways to 1 and 2 week long trips, if not longer. Okay, any trip can be customized. If you look at the brochure in the middle, that is also our USA and Canada packages. However, these are more for those of you that may want to do road trips, drive-in vacations, maybe fly to a destination and you just need sightseeing tours, meals, and a lodge or a hotel. Well, we have you covered with Yankee Holidays. And then all the way to the right-hand side, our latest and greatest brand, which really is almost like an extension to Amtrak Vacations, is Rail Bookers. This is all of our Canadian, European, and worldwide rail vacations. Now, I'm going to share with all of you something hopefully exciting right here, right now. On any of these trips, whether it's here locally in the US, Canada, Europe, and beyond, you can plan literally within days of departure, or you can plan up to 2 years in advance. So you can book any of our trips, everyone, literally within days of departure for any of you that maybe want a last minute getaway to up to 2 years in advance. Okay, and all you need to do is just pick up that phone, give us a call, or contact your local travel advisor. Now, something that we have going on right now to really give all of you that peace of mind is what we call our maximum flexibility offer. Basically, in a nutshell, we have overwritten any of our cancellation or change fees. We do not have them now, okay? And that is valid until the end of this month, regardless when you're looking to travel, anytime later this year or anytime throughout 2021. So if you look right here on the screen, any new reservation that you make, you have the ability to change your travel dates if you had to even cancel or postpone your trip if you needed to. All you need to do is let us know or let your local travel advisor know 5 days prior to departure, and we will waive any change or cancellation fee. The same applies for any of you that may have any existing reservations. Maybe they're departing in the summertime and you may want to postpone it if you want because of maybe a family occasion. As long as you let us know 5 days prior to departure, you won't have any change or cancellation fees. And again, all you need to do is let us know before the end of this month, and that's to travel anytime in 2020 or anytime in 2021. And we'll put a note in the record in our computer to give you that peace of mind and flexibility. Now, because all of you have taken the time to spend time with us, we want to make sure that we are giving you the latest information and updates as far as how is Amtrak maintaining a safe environment. You know, I will tell you, even today alone, I have spoken to so many of our travel partners and so many of our clients out there that are traveling that are looking to travel to visit family, some sooner than later. Many of the vacations are traveling as early as the late summer of this year, fall, as well as into 2021. But what has Amtrak done as of right here, right now, to create a safe environment? If you look at all the bullet points, folks, we have now enhanced cleaning protocols, okay? Equipment is cleaned and sanitized daily, pretty much every hour upon the hour. They're sanitizing the handles, the doorknobs, the insides of the trains, the outside of the train, also in the train stations. You now have the ability to also pay by credit card. Amtrak is now going and has gone cashless, so you can use credit cards on board the train as well as at the train station. They have social distancing posters and floor stickers as well, giving yourselves kind of that distance in between other folks, that kind of lucky 6 feet distance. There's a committed team of 18,000 employees that are working together to make sure that you get to your destination safely. And the last point, which I'm going to talk more about in just a little bit, onboard distance, okay? Something to keep in mind as any of you are looking to travel, whether it's sooner, maybe to visit family. Some of you may have loved ones or friends or family that are essential workers, maybe medical staff that are traveling by train. Well, whether it's essential travel or whether it's vacation travel out to some of the national parks, experience some of the overnight rail journeys, you have the opportunity to have that onboard distance when you upgrade to sleepers, especially when you're traveling overnight on board the train. And I'm going to get to that in just a little bit. Now, where does Amtrak Vacations travel to? I always love showing this map at the beginning of all of my presentations. Do you know Amtrak actually travels to 46 out of the 48 states within the continental United States, believe it or not, everyone. In fact, the only two states that trains do not physically go through are the states of South Dakota and Wyoming. Believe it or not, last year alone, over 31 million people traveled on board the train, over 31 million people. So if Amtrak was an airline, it would actually be the fifth largest airline, believe it or not, everyone, in the United States. Now, for those of you joining myself and Amtrak Vacations today, if you're someone that maybe you don't like to fly, or maybe you don't want to fly, maybe you want to travel by train versus plane, or maybe you don't feel like driving, did you know you can start or end any rail vacation, folks, right from your local Amtrak station? Okay, so any trip can be round trip right from your local Amtrak station, because any trip can also be customized. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well. So keep that in mind. Now, what makes Amtrak Vacations different? If you look all the way to the bottom left-hand corner, I can't tell you how many times I hear this. It is truly a bucket list experience. And again, we pretty much do everything for all of you when we have packages all put together or can create one from scratch. All right. If any of you want to fly to a particular city and then do the train trip in the middle and fly home, another great reason to book through your local travel advisor. They not only can book any package for you, but also flights. Now, if you look at the second point on the left-hand side, freedom and flexibility. Now, we do have daily departures throughout the United States, and in some cases, throughout most of the train routes in the United States, and in some cases, multiple departures. Now, as of right here, right now, there are some trains that are operating a little more on a limited basis. There have been a handful of some of the shorter commuter trains that have been temporarily suspended. But what you'll see today in just a little bit is many of the trips that many folks like yourselves are still booking and traveling on, again, as early as the late summer and fall of this year into all of 2021. They are some of our overnight long distance national parks style vacations, okay? The third point is hassle-free on the left-hand side. Did you know you can actually arrive at any of the Amtrak stations as close as 45 minutes to an hour and be able to head out on a rail vacation? Believe it or not, everyone, there's over 500 Amtrak stations that you can start or end any trip from. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, as I mentioned earlier, we are the official tour operator of Amtrak. So we've been operating all their rail vacations since 2006, so quite a long time. The next point is city to city service. Now, I love mentioning this, everyone, because sometimes I'll get the question, where are your hotels located on any of your packages? Do you know most of our hotels, everyone, they're typically located either within a short distance walk from the train station or a short cab ride. we try to make it very easy for each and every one of you, your friends, and your family. And speaking of friends and family, there truly is something for everyone. And if you take a look at this picture, everyone, I love this picture. As you can see, the grandparents with the grandchildren, whether it's children, grandchildren, parents, grandparents, train travel truly caters to everyone. And one thing's for sure, everyone, and I'm sure many of you will appreciate this, there is no doubt Americans are going to be traveling domestically initially before they travel internationally eventually. I can't tell you how many folks that I have spoken to just in the last month, since, of course, the world has been a little bit different, of so many of them that they want to see their family either sooner than later. Once travel is back and running, they want to stay closer to home. They feel that safety, the security, and certainly on board the train, being able to have your own private sleepers, I think, is another big highlight. And I'm going to show you some pictures in just a little bit. But as I mentioned, again, all rail vacations are customizable. So any trip can start or end right from your local Amtrak station, which is definitely a great highlight. So definitely want to make sure to keep that in mind. Let me give you an example of what customize means. If you look on the left-hand side, everyone, this is a great 5-day, 4-night Rails to the Grand Canyon package. So this happens to be a round trip package from Los Angeles. But let's say you want to add an extra night inside the Grand Canyon at one of the most iconic lodges, such as El Tovar. By the way, we can get space in many of those hard to get space lodges, whether it's the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Glacier National Park. If it's the Grand Canyon, we use lodges such as El Tovar, Yavapai, Maswick Lodge. But let's say you want to add an extra night. We can add an extra night. Let's say you want to add an extra night in Los Angeles. We can add an extra night there. What does that equal? That equals your customized vacation, okay? Any trip you can add days or take out days from any of our packages, or as I mentioned earlier, you can even create a package right from scratch. You could travel one way, stop off for a couple days, visit family and friends, continue on to another great destination, maybe have a lodging included, some sightseeing included at one of the iconic national parks, and then fly home, okay? Again, whatever way you would like to customize your package, we or your local travel advisor can help you do that. Now, because today is about overnight rail journeys, let's take a look at what life is like on board the train. And before I do, did you know when you travel on board the train, everyone, you are allowed 2 free carry-on bags and 2 free pieces of checked luggage up to 50 pounds each, 50, up to 50 pounds each. And you can check in as close into departure, again, as only 45 minutes to an hour. Last time I checked, most airlines, there is a charge for luggage, okay, unless you're part of a certain elite status or level with that particular airline. Let's take a look at the different seating and sleeping accommodations. And the first category I'm going to start out with, everyone, is coach accommodations. Now, I'm going to give you a big highlight right here, right now. There are no middle seats on board the train. There are no middle seats on board the train. In fact, I was watching a program last night on television that was showing, obviously with a lot of the airlines being at a reduced capacity, they're running less flights. Well, what's happening is less flights have more passengers on those flights. Amtrak is running at a limited capacity on board the train. So not only do you already have more space in between each other, look at the leg room that you all have, even in the coach seating. And again, there are no middle seats, but also you have the ability to have your own private sleepers, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. By the way, in coach seating, you can bring your own snacks and food on board the train, okay? Also, you can store any of your carry-on bags up at the top as well. Now, with roomettes, what you're looking at right here, everyone, this is our most popular and our most affordable category of any sleeping accommodation on board the train. All right, if you look at the diagram on the left-hand side, as you can see, bunk bed style, okay, typical of many long distance or overnight trains. However, what you don't see inside of a roomette is its own private toilet and shower. But remember, our most popular and most affordable, because right down the hall, we have what we call private yet shared toilets and showers. And typically there's anywhere from 2 to 3 toilets and 2 to 3 showers for every one sleeping car. And every sleeping car consists of multiple roomettes, multiple bedrooms. But as you can see, you can enjoy the privacy right from your own room with the beautiful picture window. And yes, you have your own door that can close. It locks right from the inside. You also have a curtain that you can close in the evening to get some good sleep before the next day and really just enjoy the experience right from the comfort of your own room. Now, if you look at another picture of a roomette, as you can see towards the left-hand side, that's actually a little table that folds out so you can, play cards with your fellow passenger that you're rooming with. You can watch a movie on your own iPad. You could read a book and just relax and enjoy right from the comfort of your own room. Now, the beautiful part when it comes to traveling, especially on some of the overnight journeys, especially in particular to some of the beautiful national parks, lots of open spaces, everyone. Okay, lots of open spaces. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. But another highlight I want to mention is when you also upgrade to a sleeper, whether it's a roomette, whether it's a bedroom, a handicap accessible room, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute, you have the ability to also board the train separately as well. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, you know yourselves the best. If you want your own private toilet and shower and vanity inside your room, we have you covered, okay? And that is a bedroom. That's the diagram that you see on the left-hand side. Also bunk bed style, everyone. However, the lower bunk bed is 1.5 times as wide as the top bunk bed, which allows room for a small child. I was actually sharing this story earlier today. My family and I actually traveled on the auto train. Some of you may have experienced traveling on the auto train or have heard of the auto train. It's the one and only train in the United States, everyone, that you can actually bring your own car, your own truck, your own motorcycle. It departs right out of Lorton, Virginia, right outside of DC, and travels down into Sanford, Florida, right outside of Orlando. So for any of you out there that maybe want to escape the cold weather, the snow, the rain, any of the cooler weather, it's a great train to take, especially escaping some of those winter months, or any of you looking to travel with family and friends in the summer, or certainly in February or April school vacation, very popular. But the reason why I mention this is on some of the trains, just like it was for my family and I'm a family of 5. So my wife and I and our 3 children, what we did is we actually got 2 adjoining bedrooms. And what we did is we opened up the door in the middle. On some of the trains, you and your friends and family are able to do that as well. So depending on where you're looking to travel, just ask our vacation consultant or ask your local travel advisor if that particular train or that particular destination has the ability to have adjoining bedrooms. Now, whether you're in a roomette, a bedroom, or even a handicap accessible room, folks, did you know alcoholic beverages are allowed? Yes, you can bring your own alcoholic beverages on board the train at no additional charge. Now, you do need to be booked in a sleeper, okay? So any folks that are in coach, alcohol is available, but you have to purchase that at an additional charge. But if you are in a sleeper, okay, regardless what category, you can have whatever you would like to consume right from the privacy of your own room. And by the way, speaking of privacy, something that Amtrak has now started doing on all the train routes, the overnight train routes, any of the long distance or national parks, cross country routes, you now have the option to have meals delivered right to your own room itself. Let's talk about meals for a second. They have what's called flexible dining. Okay, so what does that mean? Flexible dining is literally what it means. It's just a flexible option to order a menu with hot, ready to serve choices, whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There's also a nice wide selection of wine, beer, and spirits, plus unlimited soft drinks throughout the journey. Complimentary room service, again, as I mentioned, by the sleeping car attendant, and also flexible dining times without the need for reservations. So if anybody does want to maybe just go for a walk out of their room and maybe go and dine in any available dining seat or available lounge car seat, you have the ability to do that, or again, have it delivered to your room. By the way, if any of you have any special dietary requests, again, just let us or let your local travel advisor know, and we'll make those arrangements. All right. Let's move into our most popular overnight rail journeys that, folks, we're still getting new bookings on right now as we speak for as early as the late summer, fall of this year, and all throughout 2021. And you can't talk about overnight rail journeys without starting out with really our signature tour. For any of you that have it on your wish list, your bucket list to travel across the country, how about our Great American Majestic Landscapes, which is what you're looking at right here. If you take a look at the map, everyone, I'll just give you this as an example because this will highlight the other trips that I'm going to talk about. The red line represents the train. The number one or number two in a red triangle represents that's overnight travel on board the train. So as you can see, you get three different opportunities to travel overnight on board the train. You also get a chance to spend multiple overnights in some of these great cities along the way, which I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. But this is a great trip where you start in New York, you have an overnight train on typically the Capital Limited before arriving into Chicago, where you spend a couple nights, and then an overnight journey on the California Zephyr before spending 2 nights in Denver, and then another overnight again on the California Zephyr before ending in the great city of San Francisco. Now, speaking of great cities, New York City, one of the most iconic cities in all of the world, let alone here in the United States. If any of you, for instance, and I mentioned this example this morning, if any of you are located, let's say in the eastern United States, and maybe you've been to New York City before, well, you can just start your trip either right from your local Amtrak station or start right from New York and depart and head right out. So we can make the trip, 2 days less, and maybe you can add an extra night at one of the other great cities. Any trip, again, can be customized to either add days or take out days, depending on where you want to start or end the trip. Now, of course, not only is there so much to see in New York City, but how about Chicago? One of my personal favorite cities. And again, any of you that are located in the Midwest, you may want to start right from Union Station in Chicago and head west or head east. It can go in either direction. But just to kind of walk you through this itinerary, Chicago, of course, home for the deep dish pizza. So if you're like me and you like experience some of the local cuisine, well, Chicago certainly will not disappoint. Also known for the Chicago hot dogs. How about Wrigley Field, where the Chicago Cubs play? Even if you're not a baseball fan, it's one of the iconic sights to see in the great city of Chicago, as well as even during some of your own leisure time. How about catching a show over at Second City Comedy Club? Some of the most famous comedians of today and famous actors and actresses actually got their start at Chicago's Second City Comedy Club. Now, one of my personal favorite, Denver, the Mile High City, and we do include a sightseeing tour of Rocky Mountain National Park. And one thing I want to mention too, on any of these trips that I'm highlighting or any of our trips, we have what we call flexible independent travel. So they're all independent vacations. So what does that mean, everyone? Unlike a traditional bus tour where every day is preset from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single day. From 7 to 10, you sightseeing. 10 to 12 is another sightseeing. 12 to 2 is lunch. 2 to 5, we don't do that. What we do is we may have a full day, as you can see here, a full day of sightseeing or a half a day at one of the national parks. And typically that's with a local tour guide, a local park ranger. But then we may have another day where either half of the day or a full day is at leisure to go back to where you want to spend more time in a certain area that maybe you didn't have a chance to go to. Here's another example of that. How about traveling to San Francisco on the same trip where one of the days you're actually treated to a wine tour to visit Napa and Sonoma as well, which is really special. But this is a great package. Again, for those of you that have it on your wish list and you want to travel across country, then consider our Great American Majestic Landscapes. I'll also mention one other point too. All the pricing that you see, everyone, on the left-hand side of the screen, as well as in our brochures on our website, pricing is always based in double occupancy. So per person, two to a room, in coach seating with the option to upgrade to a sleeper. Single rates are definitely available. In fact, we had a lot of questions this morning of solo travelers. So for any of you solo travelers, we love having you on board any of our trips. And we have so many folks that travel both with family, friends, as well as solo. Now, if you want one of the most popular and most affordable overnight rail journeys, folks, that we have, always consistently in one of our top 5 most popular in the United States, you are looking at it. This is our Northern Rail experience. As you can see, round trip from Chicago. Now, again, if any of you are located farther away from Chicago and you're wondering, okay, well, how do I get to Chicago? Again, if you don't like to fly or you don't want to fly or if you don't feel like driving, we or your local travel advisor can start you right from your local Amtrak station and bring you to and from Chicago where you can experience this trip and then back right to your local Amtrak station. Or your local travel advisor could even book flights for you if you don't mind flying into O'Hare or Midway, and then we take care of everything else with your travel advisor. Now, I should have mentioned at the beginning of today's presentation, for those of you that have ever been on any of my presentations before, or if this is your first time, I always like making them not only fun and informative, but also interactive. Now, no pressure, everyone, but I will tell you the first group was fantastic with their participation. So on the right-hand side of your screen, everybody, is your question box, all right? I'm not gonna call anyone out on today's presentation, but let's have a little fun together today, all right? Here's my first question for all of you, all right? If you look at this map itself, everyone, all right, who here wants to type in what is the name of the train that goes from Chicago out to Seattle? Who here wants to guess what is the name of that train that goes from Chicago out to Seattle? Right hand side of your screen, everyone. Type away. Let's have some fun. All right. Whoop, I'm already getting tons of answers. See, I knew this group was going to be fantastic. Keep them coming, everyone. Actually, almost every one of you has it correct. Keep them coming. What is the name of that train that goes from Chicago out to Seattle? All right. So type that away. Wow, almost all of you got it correct. You ready, everyone? Here we go. Drum roll. Empire Builder. Yes, Empire Builder, which, by the way, is one of our superliner trains. So superliner basically just means it's one of our double-decker trains, okay, which is some of our largest trains in our fleet that go from Chicago west out to the United States, out in the western United States, out to in particular, some of the national parks. Now, this trip is also a treat, again, for those of you that want to experience truly overnighting on board the train, but having multiple overnights, because you actually spend not one, but 2 nights on board the train going from Chicago out to this fantastic city, which of course is Seattle. And once you arrive in Seattle, you'll have an overnight in the city, but I want to bring your attention to what it says down in the bottom left-hand corner. We have what we call a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Seattle. So what does that mean, everyone? What that means is in any of the major cities, as well as some of the small to mid-sized cities that we travel to throughout the United States, you really have a great opportunity to see as much or as little as you would like at the different places that either the double-decker bus brings you to or the trolley. You see hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tours. Typically, it's either for a full day or 48 hours. So it's either 24 to 48 hours. And the beauty is you can stop and get off at any of the stops they have along the way. And typically, there might be anywhere from 10 to 20 different stops along the way. But the beauty is you can stay as long or as short as you would like before you reboard the bus or the trolley to visit the next stop. All right, and that's the beauty. And by the way, the drivers, he or she, they're typically also your tour guides. So you'll have different buses pretty much every 15 minutes to a half an hour. They're dropping people off and picking people up. So it's a nice way without having to rent a car, right? Get a taxi, an Uber, a Lyft. Now, you ready for my next question, everyone? Here we go. What is the name of the train that goes from Seattle down to San Francisco? Folks, in your question box, again, I'm not going to call anyone out. Type away. Who here wants to guess? What is the name of the train? I'm already getting, actually, everyone so far is correct. What is the name of that train? And yep, and I saw someone mention it, one of the most beautiful trains in the US. You're absolutely right. What is the name of the train that goes from Seattle down to San Francisco, otherwise known as Emeryville? Who here wants to guess? And almost every one of you got it correct. You ready? Here we go. It is the Coast Starlight, everyone, the Coast Starlight. All right. And by the way, this train can actually go as south as the great city of Los Angeles. So pretty much from Seattle down to San Francisco, even all the way down to Los Angeles. And I did see some of you mention Pacific Surfliners, which is very close. Pacific Surfliner is the train that goes from Los Angeles down to San Diego. Now, again, this is our most popular package when it comes to traveling for multiple overnights on board the trains. 2 nights on board Empire Builder, 1 night on board the Coast Starlight, but then 2 nights on board the California Zephyr. All right. But look at the price, everyone. Here's what I said this morning when I came to this particular picture. Take it from someone with as a family of 5. It's more expensive to stay home for 2 weeks being a family of 5 than it is to see one of the iconic uh, sites and cities in the US, as well as experience some of the fantastic trains. By the way, speaking of experiencing some of the fantastic trains here in the US, in particular the Western United States, how about experiencing not only some of the most iconic trains, but also some of the most popular, iconic national park lodges? Okay, the national parks where you could stay in the lodges: Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon, folks. All right, you ready for my next question? Who here could tell me what is the name of the train that goes from Chicago out to Salt Lake City over to San Francisco? Who here wants to take a guess? What is the name of that train that goes all that way? Who here wants to type it in? All right, I'm seeing lots of answers. Keep them coming, everyone. That's it. Yep. Actually, everybody so far has it correct. Has it correct? Yep. Keep them coming. Fantastic. I'm impressed, everyone, but I'm not surprised. A lot of you definitely are right on the exact page. Here it is, California Zephyr. By the way, I've been on board about 7 years. This was the first overnight train I got a chance to experience. And I'll tell you, folks, if you haven't been on the California Zephyr, you talk about literally going in and out of some of the mountains. This is the train that does it. I mean, it literally slices in and out of some of the mountains, especially once you hit the beautiful states of Colorado and even into Utah. So definitely keep this package in mind. And not only, again, because you're experiencing multiple trains, all right, some of the iconic superliner trains such as Southwest Chief, or again, the California Zephyr, but also this trip includes the Grand Canyon Railway, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with the Grand Canyon Railway, this is one of the local iconic, really kind of Wild West rustic style trains. This is your main form of transportation in and out of the Grand Canyon. It actually brings you right from Williams, Arizona into the south rim of the Grand Canyon, which is great. And it's only about a 2-hour train ride. But here's one of my suggestions that I have to mention to everybody, and that is if you can, as long as it's within your budget and it's not much more, definitely consider to upgrade to the dome car, This is going to be the car that you'll have the large picture windows as well on board the train, the nice glass windows, as well as the seating and sleeping accommodations that you'll have when you upgrade on board the Amtrak train. But on board, if you upgrade to the dome car, the seats are larger. You can also have snacks and beverages. They actually provide snacks and beverages. So for a little bit more, it gives you that much more of an amazing experience as well. All right. So what does this also include? The great city of San Francisco. So keep this package in mind, everyone. Similar to our Northern Rail experience, except not only do you have 3 trains, you actually have 4 trains because we include the Grand Canyon Railway, but you have 3 amazing national parks. And you're actually looking at one of them right here, okay, in the Grand Canyon. You know, the Grand Canyon, everyone, this is one national park you could travel to anytime during the year from January through December. Believe it or not, it's considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. Okay, one of the 7 wonders of the world. And by the way, speaking of the number 7, over 7 million people visited the Grand Canyon last year. Now, I do have a little surprise for all of you, and that is not only the Glacier National Park, where you could travel overnight on board the train, but how about traveling overnight across the border in Canada on Via Rail, otherwise known as the Canadian? Here is a Glacier National Park and the Canadian Rockies by rail. Now, one thing to keep in mind, everyone, Glacier National Park itself, okay, is only open from the months of June, July, August, and September, okay? June, July, August, and September. All right. So this national park sells out very fast. In fact, every day we're getting new bookings on this particular national park as early as the late summer and fall of this year, and certainly all throughout 2021. So if this is on your wish list, everyone on your bucket list, definitely reach out to us or contact your local travel advisor so they can get you all set and good to go. Now, I will say too, for Glacier National Park, do you know there's over 1 million acres as well? Truly an iconic site to see. And by the way, the train station that brings you to Glacier Park Lodge, which is typically your home for 2 or 3 nights, right at the base of Glacier National Park, it's about 209 steps away from the Amtrak train station. So I'm sure many of you have heard this slogan, location, location, location. It does not get to be a better location than the Amtrak station at Glacier National Park. But as I mentioned, not only do you travel to Glacier National Park, but you also travel to the beautiful Canadian Rockies. And the way you do that is on board Via Rail, which is the national train of Canada, just like Amtrak is here in the United States. And certainly you will not be disappointed in the Canadian Rockies. Now, you do need a passport. Obviously, right now, the border is closed right here, right now, as we're speaking, but we're anticipating in the next month or two that hopefully, as everything keeps opening and reopening up, the borders will open up, and we have a lot of folks still planning to travel into not only the U.S. overnight rail journeys, national parks, but also into Canada again as early as the summer, fall, and into 2021. So definitely keep this trip in mind. And by the way, I will mention too, whether it's Glacier National Park, as you can see here, we have tons of short getaway trips. So for any of you that maybe can only travel for a certain amount of time, or you're just looking for a quick getaway or a trip that's a little less expensive, or you want to focus on one national park and maybe you want to travel overnight on board the train to get there, we have packages just to Glacier National Park, as you can see here, packages just to Grand Canyon, just to Yellowstone, or just to Yosemite. So you get to decide, and you get the opportunity to also do that in combination with traveling on board the train overnight if you would like as well. By the way, speaking of traveling on the train, I have a short little 30-second video, folks, that's really going to give you a nice flavor, not only of the train on board, as well as the sights in and around the train, but also in particular to the beautiful national parks by rail, as you can see right here with Amtrak Vacations. Folks, all the trains, as I mentioned, heading from Chicago west, they are known as our Superliner trains. You'll get a chance to go to some of those iconic national parks, such as the Grand Canyon. All right. Do you know they estimate some of the rocks at the bottom of the Grand Canyon are estimated to be up to 2 billion years old? How about Yellowstone National Park, considered the world's first national park? Now, that's not only the national parks that you can see. We also have many other national parks that some are accessible by train, such as Glacier National Park, but then others we either include a motor coach sightseeing tour to those national parks, or in the case of Bryce, Zion, Arches National Park, we actually travel in a private sedan service. How cool is that? Where it only fits 4, 6, up to 8 passengers. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, everyone, on any trip that you choose, you get to also choose between 3, 4, up to 5-star, 3, 4, up to 5 diamond hotels. Okay. So depending on your price range and your budget, just let us or let your local travel advisor know. Now, the last few pictures that I want to highlight, I do have some important updates before I open it up to any questions that you have. Folks, any of you traveling with your children or grandchildren, if they're between the ages of 2 and 12, they can save up to 50% off on the cost of the rail ticket within a package. Any folks 65 or older, you can save up to 10%. Any military, active duty military, you, your spouses, your dependents, can also save up to 10% off. But definitely keep in mind the maximum flexibility offer, what I call the peace of mind offer. Any new reservation that you make, you have the ability to change the dates, to postpone, to move them. If you had to cancel, they're good for 2 years. All you need to do is let us know, or let your local travel advisor know 5 days prior to departure. And certainly any of you that have existing reservations, you also have that ability. If you had to postpone your trip or change for whatever reason, just let us or let your local travel advisor know before the end of this month, And again, that's to travel anytime in 2020 as well as 2021. And as you can see, we have you covered all over the United States. Certainly for those of you that may not want to fly or certainly don't like flying or don't want to drive, any trip can start or end at your local Amtrak station. If you do want to fly either one way or round trip, again, when you book through your local travel advisor, they could book the whole package, including your flights, and any trip can be customized. So whether it's taking one of our 3, 4, 5 day getaway trips or 1 or 2 week long, adding days, taking out days, or creating a trip right from scratch, you can do whatever works best for you. Now, folks, I can't end today's presentation before I open it up for questions without telling you some exciting news as our way of saying thank you to all of you. So because each of you took the time to join us today, I did want to mention we do have an exclusive offer where any trip that you book, as long as you book within the next 2 weeks to travel anytime later this year into the late summer, fall of this year, or anytime throughout 2021, as long as you book any package and you upgrade to a sleeper, whether it's a roomette, a bedroom, or a handicap accessible room, we will take $100 off the total price, okay? And all you need to do is just refer to that promotion code upgrade 100. All right, so if you have a paper and pen, everyone, feel free to write that down or take a picture with your iPhone mobile device. All right, so you could take advantage of this additional savings. And by the way, this is only for each and every one of you, as well as your own friends and family, because you took the time to join us here today. And again, it's only good for 2 weeks with a small deposit. As long as you deposit with your local travel advisor or you give us a call, that's to travel anytime later this year or anytime in 2021. So did want to mention, again, not to forget to download your 2 handouts, okay, as well. But also, before I open it up to any questions you have, folks, the last question I have for each and every one of you, and I'm going to give you a minute or two, and I want you to take your time and just type in. Again, I'm not going to call anyone out right here on the webinar, but just type in, folks, what destinations, what rail vacations are you interested in and when? All right, so take a minute or two, everyone. Feel free, if you'd be so kind, on the right-hand side, just type in what destinations or what rail vacations are you interested in and when? All right, so feel free to type those away. I had a great audience this morning. Actually, a lot of them said Glacier. I had a bunch of Grand Canyon. I had New Orleans, Chicago. It was a nice mix. So here we go. All right, they're coming in fast. Glacier, Glacier. I see another Glacier. Northern National Parks, Grand Canyon, New York City, New England. Very cool. During the fall foliage. Charleston, Savannah. Yep. A Yellowstone. Another Yellowstone. Another Yellowstone. Okay, fantastic. Albuquerque. Grand Canyon, the wine country, Napa Valley, San Francisco, okay, Chicago, okay, another Glacier, yes. You know, Glacier is one of those places. The Canadian Rockies, fantastic. All right, keep them coming, everyone, and thank you all. I knew this audience was going to be just as good, if not even better than the first audience. So, folks, between Amtrak Vacations here in the U.S., between Yankee holidays with the U.S. and Canada, as well as Rail Bookers, Canada, Europe, and beyond around the world, we got you covered by rail wherever you would like to travel. And like I mentioned earlier, and I'm sure many of you agree as well, there is that sense of comfort staying closer to home. There is that sense of security being closer to home, or certainly being in a sleeper on board the train, having your own private accommodations, having meals to be able to be delivered to your rooms, okay? There's no doubt in our mind, we're seeing it already. We're getting new bookings every day with travelers looking to travel as early as, again, this late summer, fall of this year into 2021. There's no doubt that initially folks are traveling domestically and then eventually traveling internationally. And between all our brands, we got you covered. So really, folks, when you're ready, we're ready. All right. And as I mentioned, you can give us a call or contact your local travel advisor, however you prefer. And I just wanted to say thank you. So with that in mind, everyone, I really appreciate your participation. I see we had a bunch of questions come in, so I got about another 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to open it up. And again, I promise you, I will do my very, very best to get to as many questions as I can. If I don't get to your questions, folks, again, as I mentioned, we have over 2,000 folks that have registered for today's presentations, which is just fantastic. All right. Don't even think twice. Pick up that phone, give us a call, or contact your local travel advisor. I will tell you, very, very short hold times. You'll probably get someone literally within 3 minutes or less. So again, just wanted to mention that. But with that in mind, all right, let's run through your questions, okay? And folks, stick around for a little bit as I go through. So it looks like we have a couple questions from Paul. Hi, Paul. Are meals being served in the dining car? Has the dining car menu changed due to COVID-19? So great questions, Paul. So again, just a reminder, everyone, Amtrak has now gone to flexible dining where you can order hot off the menu items for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have the ability for the meals to be delivered to your room, or you can certainly go down, pick up the meal, eat at any available seat in the dining car or lounge car, or bring it back to your room. If you just want to go for a walk, you have the ability to do that. All right. Thank you, Paul. All right. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate the kind words. Yes, Kathleen, today's presentation is being recorded, so every one of you will get a copy of the recording, certainly to listen to it at a later time, to share it with any of your family or friends. You are more than welcome to do that. All right, which is great. All right, let's see. Hi, Margaret. Since the start is any Amtrak station is part of the trip on bus for some locations. Great question, Margaret. Yes, so some areas in the United States, in particular, let's say in California, some areas you would either need to go by bus from one station to another, but then by train to another. The majority of all travel throughout the United States, the majority is by rail, but in some cases there are rail with what we call Amtrak connections, which is the local bus service, but the majority is all by rail. And again, if you're traveling overnight, and thank you for asking the question, Margaret, if you're traveling overnight, again, as long as it's within your budget, folks, we always recommend to be in a sleeper, not only for your own private accommodations, but by the way, did I mention when you upgrade to a sleeper, you also get all your meals included at no additional charge when you're in a sleeper. And as I mentioned, you can also bring your own alcoholic beverages as well, which again, whatever you consume does need to be consumed right from the privacy of your own room. All right, let's see here. Okay, I'm trying to read. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Let's see. Okay. Do the seats in the roomettes recline? Great question, Stephanie. So yeah, so the seats in the roomettes, they do recline a little bit. What I always say is when you're in the roomette, you actually have the ability to recline. It actually the seats actually turn into the lower bunk bed. So yes, they do recline depending on how much you want them to recline. Also, if you're in a sleeper too, you also have the ability to sit in any available coach seat as well at no extra charge. So just wanted to mention that as well. All right. Let's see. From Danelle, on the overnight on the train, does the train stop or continue to move? Yep, great question. So all the train routes, they stop at the different stations, but depending on where you're looking to stay or spend extra time, we'll have that, or your local travel advisor will have that already pre-planned for you. But typically, many of the stops, if they're smaller stations, typically it's anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. People are just getting on and off the train. But any of the major cities, many times those stops are going to be a little bit longer, anywhere from 15, 20 minutes up to a half an hour. And usually, if anybody, I get this question a lot, if any folks may need to smoke or wants to smoke, they do make announcements for any train stops coming up, where if people want to get off just to get some fresh air, have a cigarette break, and then hop back on the train, they can do that as well. But yes, there's stops made all along the way, and depending on which ones you're stopping at, you'll have the ability to spend at as well. All right, let's see. Okay, great question, Margaret. You have a triangular trip, Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco. Can the traveler begin at any of these points? And the answer is yes. Any trip can start or end at any local Amtrak station. All right, and they can go either east to west, west to east, north to south, or south to north. All right, they run in all different directions. Great question, Margaret. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Yep, thank you, Tracy. Appreciate it. Yep, just moving through, moving through. Let's see. Let's see. Are there any trains that go from New York City to Los Angeles and New York City to Vegas? So we have trains that go to all of those except for Vegas. So Vegas would be it would actually be an Amtrak connection that we have from Los Angeles. Well, you could go from New York out to either Los Angeles, where then you could take a bus into Vegas. So there are no trains that goes right into Vegas, but we do have an Amtrak throughway service, which is what we call that. Yep. All right, let's see. Okay. Do you need a passport in Canada? Yes. Again, you do need a passport, and they are good for 10 years. Terry, do you have anything to Niagara Falls? Yes, we do. We have packages all throughout Canada, so we can help you with those. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Uh, uh, okay, just moving along. Oh, deposits. Okay. Yep. From Donald, how much are deposits? Deposits on an average are only about $250. And again, with our maximum flexibility offer, and I see we just got another person asking about the special exclusive offer. So let me put that back up on the screen. So really, not only do you have that maximum flexibility where, once you make a new reservation, you have that flexibility. If you had to change or postpone your trip, there is no change or cancellation fee. It would just be whatever the live cost is of the trip based on when you're looking to travel. But if you do book either through your local travel advisor or you give us a call, as long as you book with a small deposit to travel anytime later this summer, this fall, or next year, and you upgrade to a sleeper, we'll take $100 off the total price for you. And again, that's only good for yourselves, your friends and family, because you took the time to join us. By the way, great answers, everyone. Definitely got a nice mix of fantastic different destinations. Oh, thank you, Monica. Appreciate it. Let's see. Lauren, what happens if the train is seriously delayed or a connection miss? Great question. Our follow-up events rescheduled by you. Yep. So here's what I will mention, Lauren. It's a great question. As I mentioned, I've been on board about 7 years. The first year or two that I was on board, and again, this is going back 7 years ago, there was some delays periodically here and there throughout the U.S. because the freight trains use the same train tracks as Amtrak. What I will tell everyone is probably about 4 or 5 years ago, Amtrak got together with all the freight trains and they really did a fantastic job working very closely and really reworked all the different scheduling and the times that they're picking up and dropping off passengers as well as the freight trains. So it's very rare when it does happen, but if it does happen, all we do is we just either us or your local travel advisor just rebooks you on the next train if there was a delay, or finds a way to get you from point A to point B. But I could tell you truly in the last 4 or 5 years, it's very rare. It does not happen that often. So they've done a fantastic job on that. Right. But anyway, hope that helps. Thank you. Yep. Let's see. Kelly, are you having people wear masks traveling this year? So as of right now, it's not required, but it is recommended, right? Which again leads me to my point of not only traveling to beautiful areas like the national parks, lots of open spaces, but also traveling, especially when you're traveling overnight, folks, on board the train, have that peace of mind, have that comfort, the safety, security in your own private sleeper, right? Whether it's a roomette, a bedroom, a handicap accessible room. All right. So fantastic question, Kelly. All right. How much more? Great question, Maureen. How much more on average does it cost to upgrade to a sleeper? So roomettes are our most popular and our most affordable category. So on an average, to go from coach seating to a roomette on an average is about $200 to $300 extra per person on an average. But remember, your own private room and all your meals on board. Bedrooms would be typically double that because, again, you have your own private toilet and shower and vanity inside the room. But what I always say, folks, once you have an idea where, and obviously a lot of you have some fantastic destinations you're looking to travel to, as long as you have an idea where and when you're looking to travel or a roundabout idea, give your local travel advisor a call or contact us to at least give you an idea on what it would be in a roomette or what it would be in a bedroom. And then you get to decide based on what you feel comfortable with. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Great questions to everyone. And again, I'm trying to go through these as fast as I can. Let's see. Okay. Is a joy is Amtrak sanitizing the roomettes. Amtrak literally is sanitizing everything, everyone. So not only roomettes, bedrooms, handicap accessible rooms, handles, doorknobs, inside, outside the train stations. I mean, they are working around the clock to keep all of you safe. And I think they have done just a fantastic job with that. And remember, train travel, as you all know, is essential travel. Okay, so there's still folks traveling. In fact, we still have new bookings every day. Many of them are either, of course, essential workers, essential travelers. Maybe they're going to visit family, friends, loved ones. Okay, but as far as more of the vacation packages, more of those, we're getting folks booking new trips as early as the late summer, fall of this year into 2021. All right, let's see. Are there outlets in the sleepers? Yes, there is, Beverly. Yes, there is outlets in the sleepers. Absolutely. Um, yep. And Howard, is this offer per person? So this is off the total price, so $100 off the total price. And again, with the maximum flexibility offer we have going on right now, and also about finding the Amtrak routes. If any of you want to download, we have a downloadable map on our website, everyone. AmtrakVacations.com. The website's down in the bottom right-hand corner. Amtrak Vacations down in the bottom right-hand corner. We have a free downloadable map that you're more than welcome to register for. Okay, and you'll receive a copy of that. All right, let me just go down to the back over here. Thank you. Thanks, Howard. Okay. Thank you, Lauren. Kelly. Let's see. All right. Oh, thank you, Kate. Appreciate it. Yes. I Hopefully you can all tell I love what I do. And folks, you know, uh, people are still traveling. And for those of you that have, been kind of waiting to see where you want to travel, hopefully that maximum flexibility offer, plus with, of course, our exclusive discount, just gives you that peace of mind to know that even if you plan your trip, even if it's for sometime in 2021, you'll have that peace of mind if you had to change your trip or postpone it or move dates. We have you covered. As I mentioned, we pretty much have overwritten our cancellation and change fee. Paul and Jane, hi Paul and Jane, is wireless available? Yes, it is. Wi-Fi is available on board the train. It is free of charge. However, what I will say, whenever any of you go through the countryside or certainly the national parks, it is very hard to get. Wireless is very spotty. But I always say, especially when you're traveling to those areas, as I'm sure many of you would agree, especially the national parks or some of the overnight iconic journeys, isn't that part of the whole experience, to just see the beauty, the sights, the sounds, the scenery along the journey, to spend time with family, friends, loved ones? But when you do have it available, Paul and Jane and everyone else, it is free of charge. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, folks. Well, I am just about done over here. If I did not get to your questions, just please know I tried my best. Again, we have over 2,000 people that have registered, so I was trying to scroll through as fast as I could. But can I just say thank you again to all of you? Thank you for allowing me to present to all of you. Thank you for your participation. And more than anything, I hope you enjoyed today's presentation as much as I enjoyed presenting to each of you. And as I mentioned, there is no doubt, we see it already every day. There are folks planning their trips locally in the near future and then internationally eventually. All right. And we're happy to say we have you covered on all of our brands. So thank you all so much, everyone. And we look forward to having you, your friends, and your family on board soon with Amtrak Vacations. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.